Good evening, Free Enterprise, and welcome to this last edition of the Season 2 of the Mysidian Jumping Club. I am Antidale, alongside Lore Master Motas. When we're here in the front of the house with Asuka424 and Scythe Marshall doing all of the hard work behind the scenes so we can just sit up here and talk. How you doing today, Lore Master?
I'm doing pretty well. Excited for this jumping club match. I haven't gotten to watch one in a bit, and it's always exciting to see how these players are going to try to route out some very atypical movement.
These are always a lot of fun. This is the club that I started is pretty much as soon as Push Me to Jump came out last April 1st, because it is just so much fun. Uh, not everyone's going to love it, but I did want to have an opportunity to run it every week, so it has been a lot of fun doing 2 seasons worth of this, and we'll be picking back up after the Valley Ho League, which is our spring event, does end. But this is going to be the last one, so I did want to make sure I got up into the booth because I'm normally running in this, but it's a whole lot of fun here, and I think that is a little bit of a Frogger reference, maybe in the there in those objectives that Asuka has typed out there.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I have to look at it longer. But looking at the real objectives, we do have, of course, drop the magma key and trade the pink tail. Those are always in the race, the jumping club races. But our random objectives today are get Rosa and break the dark elf's spell with the twin harp.
Yeah, so not only do we have to get some wonderful gear, we have to listen to some music tonight. Normally, you can hop over the Dark Elf there, just bypass the check entirely, don't need the Twin Harp. But tonight, we're going to get music. We're going to not necessarily fight the Dark Elf, but at least get some music and then hop back out. And of course, as Scala Kitty points out, it is Neon's birthday today. So happy birthday to them, and hopefully, we get a very great tune in honor.
Yeah, for those who don't watch the Jumping Club too often, the treasure settings are wildish, but the shops are standard. So a lot of our party power today is going to come from treasure chests.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have the quarter flag on too for shops. It's because of the wildest treasure and how good the treasure is. And it just kind of is one limiting factor that I decided to add to the flag set. Um, you want to open some treasure chests, you'll get some good stuff. But since you can also hop immediately underground through a nice little hop over some mountains on the hook route, that we make it really easy to get sirens, but you can't afford a whole lot of them very early. So you kind of have to manage your time a little bit in that way.
Right, you are. And of course, no duplicate characters either in this club. So we're starting with Rosa here, but one of the objectives is to get Rosa. So, what can you tell us about that, Antidale?
Well, we know Rosa won't be the second character can't be another Rosa, and that also means that just because of how with no free characters turned on, like we do have here, uh, that the other Rosa will be the only other Rosa in the scene. But we do get a nice Rosa Kane pairing with some Dark Imps heading us to Sealed Cave Key.
I like to get Luca Key early because it lets you know you have even another check once you get underground. It really sweetens the pot for underground, which is usually a rush for some free key items as well.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see who decides to go check Edward in bed for a key item and then head straight underground, and who maybe decides to go up Ordeals because you can hop a bunch of bosses there if you get some powerful gear early. Maybe get a Tella or a Dark Knight Cecil in your opening party. You can decide to go do that. There's just a lot of really neat options available in Push Me to Jump that you don't see in most other flag sets.
Yeah, and it's not really the meta for experience anymore, but I do enjoy knowing that I'll have trapdoors available pretty early in the race. Having that knowledge.
Yeah, and hopefully with the early early Luca key, we'll be able to see some people making some nice hops out of the sealed cave, where you can actually you don't need warp quite as much in order to get out of there pretty fast.
Both players showing off the early hops through the moat and showing us the twin harp, one of the required items already.
Just a nice little bit of vanilla there, and gonna start off the seed probably really nicely with some early music. Yeah, it looks like Harumph is going straight there. Neither runner taking advantage of the fact that they do have Rosa in the party, And Rosa does learn Exit if you go rescue the characters up in Zot. You don't need the Earth Crystal to do it, and you don't need to beat any bosses. So you could go up there, grab a couple characters, rescue them, and get Rosa Exit for your way out of Cave Magnus.
Yeah, of course. That's only possible on press B to jump. Just one of the many, many things that this flag lets you do. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
Neon wanting to check out the Cave Eblana. Always a great shop, in my opinion. We'll see what's here.
Mixers and Hourglass 2s and Exit items too. Very nice there. And a lot of flag sets we don't see Cave Magnus looted too often, but because we're here so early and you do have a little bit of an elevated gear here in T Wildish, Harumph is doing a great job. Just go ahead and looting there.
Now, you may be wondering to yourself, how's Sarumph going to get through this boss? We don't really have a lot of party power yet, and it is kind of like a later early game boss where two characters at initial level aren't going to be enough, but that's not going to really be a problem, right?
No, not as long as you remember that most things that are kind of blocking your way or trigger tiles are actually just one tile in space. So Harumph will see at some point fairly soon after Eddie plays. We'll see him just kind of hopping out of here.
We did have a question in chat from Gene Het Mood that Get Rosa isn't tied to a spot. It's really just recruiting any Rosa. Yeah, that's correct. With one caveat that if you start with Rosa, which we did tonight, it doesn't actually count as getting a Rosa. You have to find another one.
And oh my, that is a very, very early spoon. We're probably going to be on the lookout for a nice bard who's not hiding in bed.
Yeah, the spoon flag is on, and Edward can be quite the powerhouse with that spoon. Unfortunately, we don't get to listen to the music for very long under this flag set either.
Nope, not too much, but we did get to see that very nice way that sometimes when you hop out of bounds or hop in places that the game normally doesn't let you walk, that it actually will act as a return door, kind of acting effectively like the warp spell. So that we saw Harumph uh, trigger the music and then hop out of the crystal room there, which hopped him back into bed in Troy with Edward, which he then hopped out of, back into the crystal room, and then was able to get out just like normal. So just a lot of fun warping back and forth and really seeing kind of under the covers a little bit of how Final Fantasy IV really works.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Neon has showed us uh, Yang in Evelyn Cave and actually sat through the cutscene, meaning they're planning to keep him.
Yeah, he can be a really interesting character here in this flag set because sirens are pretty likely to be found. Uh, the only place that you won't find them immediately is on the moon. So very likely to get sirens, and he'd get pretty strong there.
Yeah, and early Yang can also allow you to check a lot less treasure chests because he's not gear reliant. If you're planning on a low looting strategy, it can be part of your total overall strategy for the match just to get an early Yang, and then you don't really have to worry about weapons or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And Neon's going to be showing us the great way to not have to really worry about the boss sitting on the hook. You just kind of hop right on over.
Yeah, the only time when the hook route is sometimes better than the magma key.
Yeah, I admit that I am always confused about what I should be doing if I get an early magma key. That's a blue robe up there at the lower Babel spot. Neon could take a huge risk and kind of hop over that wall there and go visit that blue robe, but since we don't know whether it's the or whether it's Water Hag or whether it's the Alt Gauntlet, much safer just to keep going down the normal way.
Yeah, especially after already sitting through the Yang cutscene and doing some looting in both Cave Evelyn and the tower. You don't want to have to redo all that.
Yeah, that's the interesting kind of things that you can think about on how you want to approach one of these seeds too. I know a few runners who do like to do a bunch of the overworld before going underground, so that you're strong enough to maybe take one of the weaker bosses in that location. It's definitely a nice different way of riding the seed, and is a cool little bit of how do I want to approach this that you get every time you play one of these push beta jumps that's different.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players feel like a lot of pressure when they go check the Land of Summon Monsters free chest to try to get one of those bosses if they can, instead of double dipping later. But if you don't have the power, you don't have the power. With only 3 characters and really no overworld completed whatsoever for either Harumph or Neon, it's going to be a tough sell here for the Fey March bosses.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unlikely unless we see like the King Queen Evelyn, which is unlikely to see. But if we do see him, then we'll take it. But otherwise, Neon just gonna do some looting. Probably isn't looking. Well, might be willing to reset in case this isn't any value here, but we'll do some looting just in case there is value. Finding some
Harumph
really
showing off
nice
the
stuff.
ceiling walk there, a little swag.
Yeah, I just love all the places you can walk to, like walking on ceilings, walking on invisible tiles. There's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, Final Fantasy IV is what's the word? Pretty infamous for kind of being interesting underneath the hood, and part of that is how it handles like maps and tiles completely. So here in Free Enterprise, we've kind of blown that wide open by this point.
Well, I think that's probably worthy walking out, don't you?
I agree for sure.
And doing a good job of remembering exactly where that trigger tile is. You want to jump from the crumbly blitz there, in order to hop over the boss that takes the evil wall spot. Definitely, it's one of the few ones that has a really, really clear visual cue on where you should jump from. So it's a really nice one to remember.
Yeah, that would have been a costly mistake if it had happened because neither player right now is really ready for any sort of boss battles in the underworld.
Yeah, and one interesting part about the flag set too is that Fu is normally very powerful, character you love to see. Well, we just skip so many bosses that you actually are a little bit disgruntled when you see a Fu. So yeah, he's not that good for quite a while.
Yeah, you really have to basically rely on a lucky roll on which 3 spells he gets for the few bosses that you complete because the difference between a foo who got fire 2 and lit 3 and a foo who got nuke and weak is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And oftentimes you'll get him and be at Zeromus when you fought maybe like 6 bosses, so it put him at like 1100 HP, which is just not very much.
Well, there's the magma key, we needed that, so we're checking the boxes here.
Yeah, and that's really nice to find pretty early. We do need to have the magma key. We do also need the hook because we do the pink tail, and we do have the unsafe flags on for key item distribution, which does mean that we that can help narrow down where the hook could be. If we find only a darkness crystal in the overworld, then we know that the hook has to be somewhere on the moon.
Yeah, a lot of players are not used to playing with the unsafe flag, but that basically means that there's nothing in the logic that doesn't force you to the moon before underground, and most people are not used to thinking that way. It's sequential: overworld, underworld, moon. That's not the case today at all.
Yeah, it's not the case, and it's part of the intent of the flag set too. It looks a little bit difficult. There's a couple of unsafes turned on that we don't normally. That K unsafe as well as B unsafe because of unsafe bosses. But because we can just hop straight to the underworld, we don't really need those safeties anymore, and kind of helps prevent some people from really metaing the seed a little bit too much. Uh, prevent knowing exactly which spots you could skip or not once you're down to just a magma key or hook to find. And I know we saw Bahamut there in the Leviathan spot, which is not too difficult boss, but probably not something either runner will take right away. I forgot who was in the Asura spot.
I didn't see either.
I know it did not spark joy for an instant check.
Not at all, not at all. We're having our restreamer Asuka saying it was a Rubicant sprite, so either Rubicante or the elements.
Yeah, we have some form of leg there in the Asura spot.
Oh, Neon is gonna go for Bahamut. This is all about the speed. Can you get the Starveil up in time?
Yeah, you're definitely going to be able to get the Starveil up in time, but do you wait long enough to get it up so that they last most of the way? Because Bahamut here is not, the magic power is not terribly strong. So you're going to need to last through probably 3 or 4 Mega Nukes in order to get this off.
Yeah, and you can check whether your characters still have wall on themselves or not by trying to target them with another spell that'll show up in the status window, but it can drop off like a tick or two before Bahamut is going to nuke you, and it's really unfortunate when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do find a curse ring and a coffin there in Harumph in this treasury, as well as a nuclear technician for the job dwarf there in the dwarven town there.
Yeah, and a lunar staff, which you know, you hate to take a bow off of Rosa, but it is a nice boost to her magic.
It is. It's definitely one I would kind of hide away for just a moment. And one alternate strategy that you could employ here against this Bahamut is actually to let one of the characters not get a Starveil right away, um, so that you life them up after like the second Mega Nuke, and then they can apply another Starveil from themselves at the end. That way, you'll almost certainly have someone have enough time and enough Starveil length in order to defeat this Bahamut.
Harumph is making great use of the items that have been found. Use the Siren to get an egg, and use the Coffin to get that automatic kill. Getting some levels on these characters now in order to be able to finally actually do some boss checks.
Yeah, we were talking in the green room a little bit about how you get through these seeds, and you can often, as you get used to push B to jump and think about it a little bit differently, you can get through an entire seed, 20 to 28, in like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes, which is really hard to do otherwise. But yeah, gets through that Bahamut, gets all of their levels that they'll need too for their early game.
Yeah, this is looking like quite a good situation for both players. Unfortunately, just an Adamant Rock from that Bahamut. Unfortunate that Neon didn't get a big payoff there.
Yeah, you don't hate it. You're really then looking for Legend Sword and hoping you run into a Sissel. Of course, we do have the ability to get some free characters up in Zod without having to have the Earth Crystal, so he's a little bit more available most of the time.
Now, we do have to keep in mind also that Harumph has already done the Twin Harp, and Neon still has to do that. So, although right now they've both kind of cleared the underworld a little bit in the same order, although Neon has downed a boss that Harumph didn't. Um, there's still a little bit extra to do for Neon here.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit while to kind of resolve all those differences. Neon will probably also follow Grumph into the Sylph Cave, go talk to Yang, and then go straight up to visit Sheila 1, and also do Fabulin 1, so you kind of minimize the amount of times you have this trek.
Welcome, Raiders from Dusty Griff's channel, to this race in progress of the Mysidian Jumping Club. We're well on our way here. We can see our players have been exploring the underground already, and we're about to see a few new checks out of them. Lunar Sparkle.
And that's a Nope Rope invading. But with all those levels picked up from the from getting that egg coffined, Rosa not doing too much with that short bow and iron arrows, but Kane doing a solid 1,000 points of damage. And what was that? How's Jan jumping? You can jump in the jumping club?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. When we say press B to jump, we mean press B to jump.
I love how everyone gets their, I think it's their normal, like, special command sprite as they're falling down, like Sid peering out of, peeping there Fusaya doing, I think, his bless command.
It's style. It's got style.
Absolutely, and that's a pigtail from defending for Bull, so that is a
Ooh,
very, very nice pickup.
ooh, wow. We are we are already getting fairly close now.
Sheila, just with the capping supplies, says come back later when you got a pan.
Hmm. So we're kind of missing. We have kind of middle grade equipment. I do see a protectoring going on to Rosa for Neon. That's a good pickup. But as far as offensive equipment, we're kind of lacking right now.
Yeah, and that might kind of. I know we've seen a couple of white spears that I think Harumph has picked up, or maybe Harumph and Neon picked up a different one. Um, but we do. We still need to do a bunch of character hunts. I would imagine that we'll see some dives into Baron Inn and Baron Castle pretty soon. Maybe after Harumph does this check. I love how Antlion gets delayed very often in this flag set because you kind of just forget about it.
Yeah, and Hobbs here for that matter. You know, this is a check where we normally in non-jumping flags see players make almost immediately in a lot of cases, and now we're already almost 20 minutes in before they're checking this character.
Yeah, that's a character check I don't make very often because I often have a good enough party without doing that check, and it's the one that has absolutely cost me in races when like Cecil is up there and I forget to look for him there.
Oh, there's the Bard there in the Baron Inn, guarded by another leggy, or looks like elements it would be. And we'll have to see what the second boss is.
Yeah, that does collapse the wave function of who that was sitting in the Asura spot. We do have a Rubicant there at Asura.
That's pretty unfortunate because we would rather see elements at that spot, to be honest. Bigan here in the second spot in the end isn't too much of a slouch himself either.
No, not at all. Luckily, those extra levels that Harp has gotten give him a lot of extra agility. So Kane is very fast as an anchor, uh, and looks like it's pretty well defended too. Rosa getting the Berserk out on Yang, definitely going to help out take out this Bigan.
Yeah, a few jumps and this Bigan's going to be gone.
But Neon dismissing that Canadian content, sending it back to Lake Ogopogo, and they will get their pigtail very shortly.
I am definitely interested to see where Neon's going to go next because the Twin Harp still has to be done, but I'm wondering if they are going to be hunting characters first and just get the Twin Harp out of the way once their party's already set. Well, there was the last piece we needed to be able to turn in that pigtail, so things are coming up really well for our players here, or at least for Harumph right now.
They sure are, and that is all of that is required to have an Adamant Spoonward online. We talked to Eddie in bed. We got that twin harp. We used that twin harp to play some music and get a spoon from Cave Magnus. We went underground. We went back to Fabul, got a pigtail from the king, and got a hook there from Baron Inn, and got our Edward. We have real ultimate power on the party in about 20 minutes.
Now, I was also going to make a statement here about which airship everyone prefers, but then Harumph switched back to the Enterprise, so I'll delay that.
Yeah, it's sometimes a little bit awkward to remember to make that switch.
And meanwhile, we're seeing ordeals from Neon, so it seems like they are more interested in the characters right now. Oh, wait, no, there's no character on ordeals. We
Yeah,
don't
no
have free
character up
characters
here.
on.
But this is a pretty easy, straightforward boss fight. We'll only fight one of the three, assuming all the jumps go as planned.
Nice work there from Neon. Just got to remember to do it on the way back as well.
Yep, absolutely. One nice thing about those jumps is once you get the first one, then you can take one step and then you can jump all the way through, and you can do it the same way back out. You can make a little turn right there as you walk out, and then Just do a couple of jumps, take a step, and then jump straight through, and then you don't have to worry about it too much. But we do get a Sand Ruby, which could be where our Rosa is hiding.
Now, chat, you have to tell us where would you like this Rosa to be hidden?
Yeah, I know I've seen a couple of calls for a required alt gauntlet at Ogopogo spot, so I think that would pretty much mean that Rosa would have to be the package there in order for it to be required.
A couple of people saying giant. That's so mean. So mean, chat.
I don't know. The Giant's an awful lot of experience, and you don't have to fight elements.
Oh, that's true. We already know you don't have to fight elements the boss or elements the spot.
The spot.
Either way.
Yeah. You can just hop right on over that element spot. You do have to fight the CPU spot, but you only need one of the two, and you get the one with a whole lot more XP.
Here at Mount Ordeals is also probably a good time to mention that there's a new beta flag called Hero Mode that would make you basically solo this fight. It's kind of a cool new feature that has gone in.
Yeah, it's definitely something I have turned on for a couple of asyncs using Push Vita Jump recently. It's been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying seeing what characters have an easy time getting through that fight at base level 2, since you can just go straight up here with Push B. I've actually had a lot of success with level 1 Radia, but she's also been equipped with Heron Robe and Dragon Whip, I think, each time. So maybe I'm cheating.
Hey, you got to use what the game gives you. It's not cheating. Meanwhile, Harumph going for that double character check in the tower. So we're going to see, is this Rosa? If it is, then Harumph is sitting very nicely.
Yeah, then Harumph would just need to find the pass there at Sealed Cave and would be in go mode. I mean, well, I think that was an engineer in bed, and Neon doing a great job of just hopping over that lady in Kaipo, hopping over NPCs left and right. It's a blast to do.
No more getting trapped by the old lady in Kaipo or the woman at the Troya entrance.
Nope, you can just give him a high five as you go right on by him.
Hey, looks like we're going to get an antline check finally.
And we've got a nice little bit of double Dark Knight Cecil there in that tower. One sitting at the Golbez spot, and the other is in the Kane position, who has tied Edge up.
So not the Rosa we were looking for. Also, I'm very skeptical of taking that Dark Knight Cecil at this point. Yeah, and there he goes.
Yeah, I think Neon would be far more interested in taking that Dark Knight Tussle, since they have half of Forge and have already completed ordeals, but Harumph definitely not as interested.
Finding a Kanazo here, but the Spoonword and Edge and Kane are going to make very short work of this Kanazo.
I love level 5 Edward doing 1400 points of damage. That's just amazing.
Even popping a Grimoire there, just for good measure.
Yeah, Harumph doesn't quite get the wave down enough so that Eddie can survive it, but was nearly there.
Yeah, it was very low damage, meaning it's an HP-based move for those who don't know about Kanazo. I think pretty much most people do now that the wave deals damage based on Kanazo's total HP, so the lower you get him down before he does it, the less damage it does to you.
Yep. And Tim in chat asking if Rose is in a set place or anywhere. She can pretty much be anywhere. We've already checked a few places, but we do have the standard character flags on while they're randomized. So the only character restrictions will really be that Edge and Fusia are gated behind a key item. But Rosa can be anywhere that we haven't already looked, because we still haven't found her.
Yeah, Neon is still sitting on 3 characters, so the party's got to fill out soon because you need to start getting experience at this point. But I know Neon knows that, but is finding a pan here, so that's a nice pickup. Can finally do that last check, see what Sheila 2 has for us.
Yep, as well as get that self item. And one thing to remember to, or at least keep in mind, is you're thinking about your party. It can be really useful when you can get through these fights early, fast, to kind of keep yourself at 3, so that you're kind of preserving a slingshot for people, for your other 2 characters. And I think that was an Avenger Harumph got. That's a really nice pickup from Sod.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially with that spicy Avenger glitch action for Zeromus later. You know, you switch out the Avenger sword, you basically keep the attack power of your last weapon, but you get the Berserk status and added offense of the Avenger sword. It's a pretty sweet deal.
Yep, and it looks like it is tea time with dolls here at Baron Castle. We have creepy, creepy dolls who have invaded the Baron throne.
And what a shame for them that we have Flame, so they're not going to last too long.
Edge asks, was it flame? Let me show you how.
Oh, but the dolls in the back stayed up.
Yeah, this spot actually has a good bit of magic defense, higher than you might imagine from normal locations. We do get a package there too from Neon.
Oof.
That pan turned into a package, and we get a big doll.
We are running out of potential character positions. So when Neon checks this package, if it's not Rosa, then we're looking at Dwarf Castle, or the Moon, or the Giant. So 2 out of those 3 require the Darkness Crystal to even check.
Yeah, and we get a Tella here in Baron out of the Baron Castle. So yeah, we are down to just those 4 spots.
Imagine deleting the Punch Mage for the old mage.
Yeah, that could be a little bit hard to do. I would have to think about who I would actually want to get rid of though in this party, other than Yang. I don't think Harumph has found any particularly great ninja swords for Edge.
Yeah, and the tough choice is that, I mean, you want weak. It's just too powerful of a tool in your toolkit as far as your EXP grind goes. So you have to take the Tella. You got to get rid of somebody, and you're right. I think in this case, Yang is just the one that has to go.
Yeah, we do have the rescue available too. So Yang is not gone forever. He's just going to take a little bit of a break in the Tower of Wishes. And we could go get him back if we want to, if we get to the point where we have 10 key items and want to do a grind and want our Punch Mage back. Say we haven't found any good weapons for Edge throughout the rest of the scene. We could get him back and get a lot of power back on the team if we desire.
Yeah, and we can see Harumph's thought process here. Harumph was not interested in checking that rat tail for a key item, is very focused on the character checks now at this point. We do see Miss Dragon here. That doesn't give you a bonus here because we had the free key item from Bedward at the beginning.
Yep, I always get a little bit excited when I see bonus round, and then I forget that there is actually no bonus round in Push Me to Jump, or at least in most of the flag sets that I turn on for it. Just boss hunts are a little bit obnoxious when you can hop over them, so we kind of don't. Just make sure that you don't have to.
And this spot has pretty good offense, but with the party that Harumph is fielding now, is neither one of these bosses is going to last very long.
No, not with the power of Adamant Spoonword here, but we are going to get a nice, quick little reprise of music shortly from Neon.
Smooth move from Neon there, Coffin and Yang to get the battle done with a little faster.
absolutely. When you don't have an Iron Ring to throw on Yang really quickly, that Coffin or Kamikaze is definitely a good thing to keep in your back pocket. Tim, they're looking. We started with Rosa, and Rosa cannot be the starting character. Can't satisfy the objective. So there is one other Rosa and only one other Rosa in the scene.
Meanwhile, Harumph is finding the Dark Knight in the second spot, which normally could be a bit of an issue, but as you can see, Yang had just enough HP to survive. None of the other characters even got a turn, so that could have been extremely rude.
Yeah, the rest of the party isn't that fast. Tella isn't quite that slow yet. I don't think Harumph put a curse string on him, so we weren't at the relative 1 agility or relative speed of 1 for everyone except the anchor. And this is a pretty fast spot overall.
We get the slow hand here, and then we'll see what is going on.
In the end, showing us that we don't have to skip the music. We can enjoy a nice plague fight, get some good music going, and just really enjoy the full wonder of Edward at the harp.
I think at this point, getting the EXP from this fight is probably worth the investment.
Yeah, it should be around 9,000 or so, and I don't think we've seen sirens quite yet. We see some coffins there, but I think that in all of the underground shops that we've looked at, there were no sirens.
Yeah, and of course, that would be a great way to get EXP here early, especially since Harumph has 5 party members now. So we'll be looking to start gaining levels.
Yeah, and we're down to very few places where that darkness crystal could be as well. We've checked. We still have the top of tower open to us at Lower Babel, with behind either that water hag or behind the blue robe, which could either be water hag or could be the all gauntlet. We get a second adamant there from the from the tail collector, just handing out adamant armors left and right.
Well, if this is you, who do you put that second adamant armor on?
I would think about either Rosa or Kane at this point. Kane's got a white spear and Rosa is Rosa. I like keeping my Rosas alive. If Edge had anything resembling some really good gear, I know that Neon found a Murasame in the Antlion Cave. So if Edge had that and like a mute knife, I'd be really happy to give it to Edge too.
Yeah, there's a lot of good choices in this party as far as candidates for it. I also, like you, like to protect my white mage usually if I have a spare adamant. Of course, the first one's going on Edward, no question.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, Adamant Spoonword is a great joy, and I will meme the heck out of Adamant Spoonword in every push me to jump seed where it's available to me.
Neon, meanwhile, is about to maybe be able to fill out their party. Remember that Ordeals has been done by Neon, so this will be Paladin Cecil, not Dark Knight Cecil, although we haven't seen any good sets of weaponry literally the entire time.
No, but Neon is just a Legend Sword away from getting an Excalibur, so that is there in the bag. Now, who knows where that Legend Sword is, but Neon will be very happy to see that Edge and be able to equip that Murasame.
Yeah, and it's not like Neon has to ditch Cecil right now either, because this is their first time getting 5 characters, so a lot of options, a lot of options. Harumph, meanwhile, picking up that Sand Ruby from Ordeals, going to get through this boss very, very fast, if I have any guess.
Yep, Edward just swinging for a casual 2.2k against that Mylon Zed. Goodbye, Mylon.
You feel bad for the fiends sometimes. Sometimes.
I mean, they do seem like a rather inept bunch. Like, they really pose not much of a threat to you in vanilla. Rubicant is a little bit probably the diciest one the first time you're playing through the game, but they're all kind of jokes from what I remember as a kid.
Harumph getting out of ordeals successfully. Both of our players getting in and out of there. No extra boss battles taken.
And I think neither of them saved either. That's always something that is one of those main concerns for me when I'm doing this. Of like, should I just take a quick safety save just in case? Especially if I'm going up there very early.
This isn't related to anything that our players are doing, but I really like this Cecil palette. Of course, Fab is on, so we have all different color schemes for our players, or our characters, I should say. Harumph checking the bed. Sorry, it's Sid. Gonna reset out of that. Goodbye, Sid.
Yeah, I mean, Sid's probably really tired after blowing himself up multiple times within the vanilla speed run, so we just don't need to see him.
He's very good in the early game, but I think with the party makeup that Harumph has now, of course, definitely no need to take him at this point.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah, so we're down to the Rubicant at Asura. Whoever is sitting at the top of the tower that I don't remember. Oh yeah, the blue robe at the top of the tower, and the Odin spot for our ways to the moon.
Right, you are, and I'm actually surprised. Well, maybe I'm not because at the time Neon only had 3 characters. But well, no, it was Harumph who was there. Anyways, they're crossing over each other's paths now, so we're gonna get those checks here very shortly because they're just out of options.
Yeah, Zemtor, Sealed Cave was checked by Neon early. That's where Neon has picked up the pass. So they've already knocked that one off, but we definitely know that we have to go to the moon in order to get Rosa in some fashion. She's either on the dais or she's at the giant.
It's pretty amazing that the the objective that you would think would have gotten done the fastest, just based on the math, is going to be the one that's completed last because the fact we're already on the last 2 character check spots and we still haven't found that Rosa is pretty delicious, in my opinion.
Yeah, who was it that was at the package? Has Neon actually checked that? Because that I don't remember.
Hmm. Now that you mention it, I don't think the package has actually been checked. That would be pretty spicy if she's there and no one has checked it yet.
And Scythe Marshall, our tracker, has reminded us that neither have actually checked the package. Thank you for keeping us on our toes and keeping us honest.
Oh, Harumph made a run, maybe hinting at the sealed cave, but veered away. That's unfortunate because the pass, it would definitely be nice to have if Rosa does happen to be at the package.
Yeah, because then you could just go. We do have Edge to steal some Sirens, which we might be seeing with Harumph here, going after some chests in Lower Babel.
Yeah, that's definitely nice. Definitely a lot of runners learned to do this pretty frequently in our last tournament due to the unavailability of sirens in shops. And they're just a nice way, especially if you don't want to do D machines, which we don't have slingshots right now for Harumph, so D machines becomes less attractive. I mean, on top of the fact that you need the darkness crystal to be able to access that grind in the first place.
Yeah, and other than Eddie's HP, the fact that you have two adamant armors means that you can go a little bit earlier, so you don't need to go through the whole setup of doing a D machine grind and taking extra time. Although you're taking about the same time to steal the sirens that you need.
Okay, so right you are that we have some siren sneaking happening, just it's not being successful for the most part right here.
Yeah, the stealing is based on Edge's level compared to the enemy's level, and there is a little bit of the game code where if you have Porm in your party and she uses the cry command, it actually lowers the enemy's numbers effectively for this, so that you can steal more effectively as Porm cries and flusters the enemy a bit.
Neon Gray now doing Baron, which means we might get that Odin check while they're here. Rolls the dice on Grimoire again, does get Shiva, but I don't think it's going to be an... Oh, wow, it did actually just barely kill the dolls in the back.
Yeah, definitely a nice little time save there overall.
The
Sid,
stand... Go ahead.
yeah, Sid was at the center of your location, Gene Hatmood.
And
Both
no
runners
one took him.
Yeah, both runners have checked in and said, no, you need to sleep it off a little bit more.
He is apparently the only guy who can repair airships. I know he had two helpers, but they don't seem to be able to do anything without him. He works hard.
Yeah, I think they were apprentices or interns, maybe. Just there to help him out. But he's the director and the architect of the entire thing.
Still no Odin check. So, what's Neon gonna go see?
Well, Neon's got both tails to turn in, having just picked up the hook and not gone immediately to turn that in. So I imagine we're going to get some adamant armor and some more adamant armor.
You'll love to see it back to back. Boom, boom.
Yeah, this is one of the places where you'd love to get some face cam on people, especially Neon, getting both of them right back to back like that. I imagine there'll be a good chuckle at least.
Meanwhile, Harumph going in for a few more eggs with those stolen sirens. And we noticed that Tella is dead right now. What's up with that?
Well, Tella gets speedy a bit, even though he's an old man. And one of the quirks of the ATB system in Final Fantasy IV is that the person in the center slot for free enterprise most of the time, some flags can change this, is your agility anchor. So it means everyone kind of looks to them to see how fast they should be. And as you progress later in the game, the bosses get really, really fast. So you kind of want your anchor to be as slow as possible because there's effectively some bounding that happens. Your anchor can only be as slow as relative agility 5. There's only one place in the game where they can be a different number, and that's a very special circumstance that Harumph is going to be avoiding. But since the anchor is relative agility 5, which means they take about 5 ticks of the ATB system in order to be able to get an action, everyone else is going to be a lot faster than that. They'll be at relative agility 1 pretty much by the time that Harumph is done getting these levels. So that kind of evens out your party's speed. In fact, gives you a good bit of advantage if you get some berserks going on.
So, Neon just reset out of the tail turn-ins, if I saw that right.
Yeah, that's a little bit something. It looks like Neon is going straight back.
And maybe a little bit of muscle memory, was expecting a key item from one of those.
Yeah, it could be. Or maybe was just so shaken or amused by getting double adamant armors that they just want to go through the experience one more time. I know I would have blanked a good bit. Um, it's also possible that just there's a wrong warp jump that I wasn't really paying attention to their screen that I didn't know about here that could maybe get you into a weird spot.
I think both us and chat are a little unsure if Neon saved after Baron Castle. This might be a case where there's no rat tail to even turn in because they've reset out of that entire chain.
Yeah, it looks like it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but at least if they saw both adamant armors, then they know that they don't have to redo Baron if they don't want to. I mean, it's not a second adamant armor is good, but I don't know if it's good enough to redo the chain.
Yeah, definitely not required. And Neon already does have 10 key items, even without that rat tail. So they don't need to do that in order to get the full double experience points that you get for 10 key items. So even though it's a little bit of an unfortunate reset, it's not game breaking for her or for them.
Meanwhile, Harumph is actually going to go check the package. So we're finally going to see if we have to get the Darkness Crystal to get Rosa.
That's just the Lunarian. That's
Oh
not
no,
our
it's
prized white mage.
normally you'd be so happy to see Fusoya, and we're so not right now. We just aren't. Oh, this is getting closer and closer to having to fight that Rubicon in the Ashura spot.
Yeah, there are just fewer and fewer places to go. I'm a little bit surprised that no one's gone up to the top of Lower Babel. It's actually a surprisingly fast way back down in case that it is the key item that you need.
I think they're scared of the gauntlet.
That's true. If that's the gauntlet, that's an awful huge time sink.
Now Neon is redoing the Baron Throne, so maybe it just wants access to Odin.
Well, you don't need to do the Baron Throne to get access to Odin, but could be looking to get that rat tail again, wanting to get that second adamant armor.
Ooh, or most likely the Tella.
Or
oh,
not.
Never mind. Goodbye.
It was a good theory.
You know, sometimes you try to meta the players and they just surprise you. That's it.
Yeah, Harumph is staring down a lot of choices that are kind of unappealing. We don't know whether that blue robe is that gauntlet or the much faster water hag. We don't know. That Rubicant is not terribly appealing, but with 2 adamant armors, it's not too bad. And we don't know what's at the Odin spot either.
Yeah, but at least Harumph is going to Sealed Cave here to find that pass, so that's going to basically get our players at pretty much parity at this point. As far as the key items go, Neon has made like 1 check less than Harumph, but it's not a substantially important one, so I think as far as who's in the lead, it's still kind of hard to tell. Harumph does have a little bit of the levels on Neon right now.
Yeah, doing that little bit of a grind after picking up all those sirens, Harumph definitely in good position to take this pass, hop on out of here, and then take on one of those kind of undesirable locations that's still left available to our runners.
And maybe we'll see this boss if Harumph wants some EXP.
Definitely possible. Harumph showing us going in on a Doris 3 times. It's definitely something I do with a kind of astounding frequency for how much I played this game.
Yeah, right there in Tower of Zot is oof, it'll get you when they've got the opposing doorways like that.
Yeah, Cave Magnus does it to me too a bunch. Harumph deciding the pass is not worth it. It's kind of questionable. It's a little bit faster uh, than normal seeds because you can do some hops out of bounds in the sealed cave to not need warp. But it's definitely a reasonable choice to say this doesn't actually save me time to walk this out because it's pretty close depending on where we find that Rosa.
You are gambling quite heavily though. That well, I don't know, because at this point you're pretty much assured that you need the darkness crystal anyways. So maybe that's what Harumph is thinking on that. Like, I don't need the pass because I have to go to the moon either way.
Exactly. And this cost me about a minute to walk out. And does it cost me? Does it save me more than a minute? And it's one of those. It does, but is it really worth it? Uh, I can definitely understand the reset and not bothering with it.
Okay, chat, the moment of truth is here. Is this going to be Water Hag or the Alt Gauntlet? Now, Octomammoth was one of the bosses that we skipped on the hook route.
Yeah, very nice to not see Octomammoth and not have to fight her. Just let her and her tentacles exist. That's the All Gauntlet.
Oh, good night. Now, well, were our players right to avoid it or not? That's the next question. Because if it pays off, then, you had no choice.
Yeah, but they were definitely right to avoid it on the way down because neither runner and pretty much no runner was going to have the levels in order to take this on the way down. So definitely a good choice by everyone to at least skip it for a while.
And if you're wondering what's up with the enemies that are appearing, the Alt Gauntlet flag replaces the Gauntlet with enemies from the area that the boss spot is in. So we're getting tower enemies rather than the normal guards and monsters that would show up in the Gauntlet.
Yeah, and Harumph is showing us this is actually one of the friendlier gauntlets. The main trick here is that this tofu fight, you're going to want some magic. Eddie with a spoon is good enough too, but Edge with the flame will clear everybody out. But with a couple of alerts, this is actually a pretty fast, easy gauntlet for having to fight 5 fights.
Yeah, for most of the game, the vanilla game is very good at making sure you pretty much have one magic user at any given time. But the times where you have to fight Flan type enemies without one, kind of rough. And they, especially in free enterprise flags, like with Alt Gauntlet or with like Can't Run and random encounters turned on, you can get caught out. There are some random encounters that can really take free enterprise players unprepared, just basically because we don't fight random encounters very often.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that the tower key one, normally doing the tower key, you can do it at fairly low levels, but that gauntlet is not possible at exceedingly low levels, just because of how strong the enemies are compared to what you normally would think of for that spot. But that is a darkness crystal. That is Harumph actually in go mode at this point. Just needs to figure out where Rosa is.
Now, of course, it's almost assured that Harumph is going to check the Lunar Palace first because it doesn't require any more boss fights. And then if she's not there, we're going to have to go through the Giant. And like you said, we can skip the Element spot, but you have to fight CPU to get the character, or the CPU spot, I should say.
Yeah, you can hop over the trigger tile to fight the CPU spot, but it doesn't count as completing the Giant, and then won't trigger the ending cutscene to where you get the character. You just kind of fall straight out and end up back down on Earth.
This puts Neon in a pretty tough spot if they don't check the tower next.
Yeah, we'll see what they choose to do. It looks like Harumph is going to give us a nice little bit of treasury looking treasury here on T-Wild. Just going to be real good, hopefully.
All right, chat, get ready to rate that treasury. Let's go.
That is Dragon Hunting out of 10. I think that was 2 Dragoon Spears and a Dragon Whip and Arty Arrows. Plus the Power Shirt's real nice too.
Yeah, and an edge sword. So we're getting pretty nice party power now.
Yeah, you're definitely not unhappy that you wouldn't check that.
Yeah, I'd say well worth it for the ninja sword alone.
Yeah, Ninja Sword and the Ninja Sword, Defense Sword, and Power Shirt definitely open up a lot for the party. Get them nicely stronger than what they had been before.
Neon also resetting out of that Fusoya package. Not to blaming them at this point. He's nice, but once again, we have no clue what his spell list will be. So, and his HP is going to be rather low, as you noted earlier, Antidale, that he won't survive Big Bang. So, there's no point in taking him now. Neon's also checking the armory. There we go.
Yep, the siren call of that loot is just a little bit too much, I think.
The siren. We were stealing those earlier.
It's too bad that the Supersmith weapons can't show up here. Supersmith being one of the new flags in the beta, because we could, if they could, then you could maybe find a Loki's loot here too, which would be an awful lot of fun.
Yeah, I have to play around with that flag because it will prove to be definitely awesome. And if you make it required, a required objective, you can make sure you always get some nice, cool new stuff for your characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of shiny new toys in that flag. Definitely have had a lot of fun with it when I've turned it on.
Okay, Harumph is heading to Lunar Palace. Let's see who we're gonna get here. We want to see Rosa at this point, I think. The CPU boss could be an interesting challenge, but at this point, I think Harumph could take it either way.
Yeah, I don't think you're too worried about actually beating the boss. You'd actually be really happy to force 300 extra thousand experience. But that's Rosa sitting up at the dais, just waiting all this time. And that is all 4 objectives completed for Harumph.
Yeah, and just to put this in perspective, our players had access to the underground from the beginning of the game, and you don't need a key item to fight the boss at the top of the tower. So literally, we could have had this Rosa, this extra Rosa, almost the entire match. As early as they could have beaten that ult gauntlet, we could have had that.
Yeah, which really is kind of as early as you have an Adamant Spoonward.
And now Harumph is going down the Lunar Subterranean. Remember, Harumph did reset out of Sealed Cave, no pass. So Harumph has to go down here. And in fact, I suspect is wanting some more levels as well before fighting Zeroma. Is going to go down to the bottom floor and save, I'm sure, and then kind of head back up and try to bait some Twin Ryus.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Harumph has any hourglasses left over, or any sirens too. And I actually kind of forgot to see where Harumph's levels were. Wow, the last time we saw Harumph in a fight. But doing some nice jumps here in the Lunar Subterranean. There's not a whole lot of time save always here, but definitely nice to get the ones that you can. Although it does make it very confusing to walk back out if you ever have to.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly large dungeon for the Super Nintendo era, especially at the beginning of the console.
Yeah, I think Harumph's levels are fine. Those are high 40s, low 50s. The main question is going to be Eddie, and if he can get, if there are any Bacchus wines that he could maybe Starveil, and then drink some wine afterwards, so he can be berserked and not have to possibly get nuked off the moon by a counter nuke.
Looks like Harumph wants. Well, nope, never mind. Just taking a little bit of a shortcut.
Yep. These are some of the most satisfying jumps overall to me, especially in a room coming up. We normally have to zig back and forth, and you just now straight jump down. But Motos, I see some Z flags out in chat. Why do we have the letter Z emblazoned on a flag and a question mark?
Well, we have random sprites for the final boss, aka Zeromus. So it's now time for that time of the match where we'd like to say, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
I think it's going to be a good butt.
Well, I think it's gonna be a bad butt.
Well, that's true, but a good butt to kick. DP, that actually does weird things if you hop over that trigger tile. It's fun to explore, but not a good thing to do in a race.
Yeah. And especially, we should mention Harumph and Neon aren't the only ones doing this race. Just like our community races or other club races, there are other racers who just aren't on the restream right now. So they're not just against each other, but an entire field of players. And when you're on the restream, it does put a little bit of extra pressure on you to kind of get it done.
Yeah, but you can actually soft lock yourself with the pass and hopping over the trigger tile to get into Z. But looks like we've got Apollonius, the long man from Final Fantasy Legend 2.
I have to show my Final Fantasy extended universe gaps here. And I never played this game. I can't believe somehow I avoided it.
I haven't either, but I have definitely seen Scala Kitty and Invenerable run the Final Fantasy Legend 2 speedrun a number of times. So I am definitely familiar with these sprites. And I know Scala has some very good speedrunning notes for that speedrun too.
I'll have to put it on my list.
Matella doing a great job of throwing a crystal and then eating the counter nuke. His job is done for the entire seed. Rosa is just going to get everyone nice and angry and let the damage flow.
Yeah, we never really had the character options to enable reflex strats in this one. And of course, with the spoonword at hand, it's just natural to fall into the berserk strats. Neon actually getting an extra siren drop from the alt gauntlet.
You love to see it.
Yeah, so we should note here in the Zeromus battle, when you are using berserk strats, you're basically just wanting your white mage to be high enough to survive a Big Bang, which Rosa is. Over 2100 HP is kind of considered safe for non-nerfed Big Bangs, and especially if you have great armor for your Rosa, which Harumph does.
Yeah, we can still occasionally high roll, but should be pretty safe. This fight should be pretty much in the bag. If we do see another Big Bang, unfortunately Edward is going to take a nap, but he is doing some great work.
Yeah, the kind of numbers you're seeing here from Edward are basically numbers you only see from Cecil with top tier weapons otherwise.
Yeah, he's definitely mostly putting Edge to shame. Neon does get that Darkness Crystal, though. Neon is now also in go mode. They don't yet know where that Rosa is, but should be finding her fairly soon. Good night, sweet prince. You've done so much damage.
He is a sweet prince too.
And now two princes are down, as Edge is also taking a quick nap. But Kane and Rosa, the party we started with, looks to probably be the party that we will finish with.
And there are a lot of people who swear by the ability to defeat Zeromus with just Rosa and Kane in any seat.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to explore the fringes of Free Enterprise and the more higher difficulty settings, you can get Kane and a Drain Sword or just Kane and Rosa, period, and go through some of the hard difficulty flags that we often call cataseeds, and they can just do the entire seed. So that is Harumph getting the shake, the rattle, the roll, the crumble, and the dissolve. And I think that is also a first place for Harumph.
And I did just want to point out that Harumph very sweetly used life on Eddie right before the final attack so that he would be alive for his victory.
And actually, as we see on the screen, that is actually a third place Harumph. Both Microcorgs and Jay Brunter have come in ahead of him, both with times in the 1 hour, 6 minute, and 40 some seconds range. But GG's to everyone. That was a tight 1-2-3 grouping.
Oh wow, yeah, that's what you call a snipe. All the top three within a minute of each other in an over hour seed. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like while we are having Neon do some level grinding, we are going to get Harumph in here shortly for a post-race interview.
And don't look out. Don't jump too much, Motas, but Harumph is there right behind you. GG's, Harumph.
Thank you.
So Harumph, first off, congratulations on getting here in less than a minute after the first place finish. What would you say was your best play of this match?
I'm not sure what the best play was because everything just came so quickly. Well, at least the 3 of the 4 objectives came here, and then which is a key item here eventually here to find here where Rosa was, hoping she wasn't behind the Giant of Babel, because I think it was down to that and the Lunar Dais. I can tell you here what wasn't the play here, and that was having Kane in the back row. That might have cost me first, because I got to the fight and I realized, wait, Kane isn't back row glitched, so he's doing a little bit less damage here, and I think that might have been that could have been the difference there. But all in all, here I think I handled panic mode fairly well. I was. If I had found Rosa sooner here, I probably would have gone Eddie strats instead of doing the grind. But I was once I found the Earth Crystal, once I found the second Adamant Armor, is like, all right, now I can probably pivot to a safer, just a safer Zerker strat.
Yeah, that second Adamant Armor. Did you kind of blink and wonder if you turned in the wrong tail, or managed to turn the pink tail a second time?
No, I was saying, I'm going. This is kind of bonus French vanilla, or vanilla adjacent, or artificial vanilla, or whatever form of vanilla you would call that, I guess here. But it was like, yeah, you have one Adamant Armor here with the pink tail. Getting the second is a nice bonus to have.
Nice. And were you ever worried that you'd actually have to fight that Rubicon in the Fey March?
And the Fey March was going to be the last place I was going to check here, so had it come to that here, I think because I would have committed here to actually leveling up at that point. I probably would have been a little bit less worried going into that spot. But anytime you don't have to fight a potentially rude Fey March boss here, the better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Were you putting off going up to the top of the tower again, just because it was possibly the gauntlet for quite a while?
Well, I put it off initially here because when I did the peak here, if I had seen a like a potential alt gauntlet at some point there, I might have done listen, elsewhere here. I might have done the check early on. Just pop over, jump over, and do the check there. But I figured the last time I tried that, I got burned. I think it was I don't remember the exact situation here, but yeah, it's like I decided to take on that boss, and it was a little awkward. So decided to play it safe and not make the check because hadn't saved for a while at that point yet.
Very good. Well, this is the last Jump Club match before our next event, the Lolly Ho League. So, how have you felt about Jump Club so far?
Jump Club, it's a nice change of pace because the seeds tend to be a little bit faster because it's a lot more open, so you have a lot more checks available to you that you can break routing here and get to well, in a fairly rapid basis. I am competing in the Lally-Ho League. We'll see how well that goes here because my practice seeds have not gone well here, but I've still got some time to figure stuff out here. I didn't figure out three missile until about 2 days before the first week. So, no, I'm hoping here to. Uh, my goal is to make the brackets for that one here, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, I wish you the best of luck in reaching your goal, and I think we're all still kind of figuring out those flags a little bit. There's definitely some fun nuances that should be there that we haven't seen in a tournament before, especially the E no XP or the E no boost flag, or whichever one it is specifically that turns off the slingshot, which is the effective one that I'm thinking of. So it'll be really interesting to see how that kind of changes everyone's routes and their party compositions and whatnot. And we haven't turned that on in a tournament before, so it should be a lot of fun.
It'll be interesting to see here how the different strategies play out here. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on the other races here, see if I can steal some ideas, of course, or borrow without asking permission. I guess.
There we go. Well, thank you for joining us in GG's again for your third place finish.
And thank you here to our commentary team tonight here, Antidale and Motos, Scythe Marshall on the buttons, and Oscar for rolling that very fun seed tonight.
Now, for all the rest of our watchers, we did have a little bit of talk there about the Lolly Ho League. That is our upcoming event, and if you'd like to get involved with that, the flag set is posted, and applications for racers are still being taken through March 7th.
Yep, and it does start then on March 9th when the races begin. But do come in and have a lot of fun. We're turning on some of the new 4.0 or 4.2 flags, and it should be a good time overall. Definitely looking forward to that starting up.
And we see now Neon has gotten the crystal, gotten the whale, gotten the Rosa, is ready to go, and will be taking advantage of the pass that Harumph did not have in order to, and swag whale to Troya. Well, I love to see it.
Absolutely love to see it. And one of the pitfalls of push V to jump sometimes, the fact that you go underground, get that falcon, then can just go straight here and don't need the earth crystal, is I've left the falcon here more times than I have fingers on my hands from this. So Neon did a good job of avoiding that. And I believe that I saw Neon equip some Artie bow and Artist arrows and a power robe on that Rosa. So I think we're going to see some Quint strats.
Oof, yeah. Just due to the nature of the Zeromus fight and how it's scripted, if you can deal enough damage each round, you can actually survive without any healing whatsoever and skip big bangs because Zeromus' script basically resets when his HP gets reset or when he changes phase. So you can essentially get hit by the first big bang and then just keep damaging him. And if you do it enough, he doesn't big bang anymore. Easy.
Yeah, easy. It is an awful lot of HP to chew through, but this is a pretty good party for it. I know Neon didn't keep the spoon word, which is a little unfortunate on the damage front, but definitely fortunate on the having extra HP front.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Quint Zerker is definitely a fan favorite. They're always calling for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun to see just everyone going at it, get everyone nice and angry, and then put down that controller. Yeah, Neon's got some Bacchus wine. I saw an Avenger in that inventory. Neon is definitely all set up to do this.
Yeah, and always be careful because Zeromus, before he's transformed, does wipe status effects from your party. So if you try to Zerker up too early, you will waste your Bacchus wines. Your people will just become unangry again.
Yeah, and if it's really bad, you can like break your own characters by getting the status wiped. If you're using an Avenger, you can do some pretty awful things to where the character just sits there and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, we could see Neon's going all in here.
Yep, not even bothering to nerf the first one, just going straight in, just trusting in the damage of this party.
Yeah, and Neon does have quite a few additional levels that Harumph did not have as well. You can see the HP totals are much higher than Harumph, especially on Kane, of course, because of his higher HP growth.
Yeah, Rose has got at least a level or two, I think, over Harum's party.
Yeah, we can see this looks like plenty of damage to get through without having to eat another Big Bang, which is what we'd be worried about if the party's not quite fast enough or not quite strong enough to push the phase in time.
Yeah, because you want to do 45,000 points of damage before Zeromus can get that second Big Bang off in order to push into Meteor phase, and then Kane, Young, and Cecil should have enough damage, even if the Meteors come out, to just push through to the end. It's really important too to get the right timing too on the phase change, because you do then have to go through the rest of Zeromus's HP as he does refill. So you want to kind of get that phase change just as he was about to key that Big Bang to give yourself the maximum amount of time to do the rest of the damage.
Yeah, and the good thing here is a lot of times if you see wipes on Zeromus, it will be because a Big Bang happened and then Zeromus was immediately pushed into Meteor phase, so your party gets Meteored right after you ate a Big Bang. But luckily, this is not going to be a problem for Neon because of Yang. Yang can basically carry the Meteor phase by himself as long as the party doesn't get Big Banged again.
Yep,
oh, and there he goes.
That was one shake, and then a much, much longer, prolonged shake as Apollonius disappears from this universe. GG's to Neon. Just coming through straight with that Quint, able to drink a lot of wine and then put the controller down.
You love to see it, and looks like we are going to get Neon here for an interview pretty shortly.
And indeed, it is Neon here in the booth with us. GG's Neon.
Hello.
Okay, so I know this may be a sore spot, but I have to know what was going on with the pink tail rat tail turn-in.
You know what? For some reason, I could have sworn it didn't actually credit me for handing it in, which is why I kind of checked my thing there. And for some reason, my brain went, "Gray means it thinks I haven't done it yet." So I'm like, "What happened there?" So I reset. I'm like, and I noticed it again. I'm like, I'm just dumb.
Now, I mean, that little bit of muscle memory, I'm sure, happens to a lot of people.
Oh, well, I'm staring at it, and I'm like, did it not tell it to me? Did it not give it to me? And I'm like, least it was pretty quick getting back there. So, but
Yeah,
what
not
can you
too
do,
bad.
really?
And knowing that you're getting a second adamant armor 2 out of it would definitely made you a little bit more willing to go do Baron Castle a second time.
Yeah, yeah.
And you gave the people what they wanted with that Quincer. Quite stylish.
I mean, you gotta. I mean, the game gave me every piece for it. So, let's in Quint.
You did, and it worked wonderfully, getting just that one big bang and then just one shake, and then Zerome was crumbling away. It was very well done.
Oh, thank you.
Now, we asked the same question of Harump, but we noticed the same play choice from you. Did you wait to do upper Bab or the boss in lower Babel because you were afraid it was going to be the alt gauntlet?
Yes and no. Like, it was on my mind, but the other thing too is I don't really like to go out of my way there unless I've got the tower key also. But as I was narrowing things down, I'm like, oh, it could be that. I don't really want to fight Ruby. He won't be a problem, but he counters and.
That is a very fair assessment of that fight, I think. Even with Professor Invenerable going over that fight in his most recent FE 101 boss strategies thing that he did today that was about Rubicon. Definitely not a fun fight to do.
Yeah, it's like but by then I had 2 adamants, so he was no threat. It just would have taken longer than I liked, so I'm like, I need sirens anyway, so I'll just hit up the tower.
Definitely good heads up play to go steal those sirens too. Both you and Harump did it on Restream, and I imagine most of the runners did too. Also,
yeah, I mean, I don't really see any of the other options really being a thing. Not with that placement of that darkness crystal, and with that edge so very freely available, it's like that's a siren job.
Yeah, the seed definitely made some choices for you in that way.
Yeah, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Well, we got to thank you again for coming on, Neon. Is there anything else you want to say about this race or jumping club in general, considering this is the last jumping club before the Lollyho League?
Not really. I mean, it's a very fun flag set. I really like the format. You could do some really interesting things with the jumping. So, yeah.
Yep, and of course, we do want to wish you a happy birthday, since we do know that today is that day for you, and just glad that we're able to give you a nice fun seed and get you a nice quint out of it.
Oh, well, thank you, and yeah, no, it was good times. What are you eating? You're a cat. You're eating what you feel like.
That is very true of cats.
Yes.
Well, I want to give another shout out to Scythe Marshall, who was on tracking tonight. Their first time helping behind the scenes. So thank you again. Did a great job. And Asuka, as always, here on the Restream, bringing you the actual feed.
Yep, and it was a pleasure doing this commentary with you, Motas. And of course, thank you all for coming out and watching, and thank everyone for the running of this. And I hope to see you next season. It's been a blast putting this entire thing on for 2 seasons now. And I believe we are going to raid Twisted Flax, who's doing some Lollyho League practice. So you can get a nice preview of those Swiss flags and maybe get some pointers from Twisted Flax.